Good evening to you. We're back with a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks on this Halloween evening. We're wrapping up the month of October and heading into November on a fairly mild note. We're going to talk about the November forecast in this video. We'll do some review of October first. And on the calendar view here, these are all the high temperatures for the month. Now, the figure over on the side of the screen, 1.2 degrees below average, that considers both highs and lows and takes that into consideration. But graphically speaking here, high temperatures are shown for each and every day, 31 days in October, and 9 of the last 10 have been warmer than average, but the month as a whole goes into the record books as a little bit cooler than average, thanks mostly to this stretch right through here, where it was really chilly compared to mid-October standards. Precipitation-wise, at the Youngstown Warren Airport, not a drop of rain on a Sunday, hardly anything on a Friday and a Saturday. Most of the rain came in the middle of the week, and it wasn't much. We finished almost an inch and a half below average at the Youngstown Warren Airport for the month of October. A few other rain gauges across the region. 1.37 Columbiana, a little bit more than that Lisbon, and actually some somewhat heavier amounts in our far southeastern areas, closer to Glenmore, Calcutta, East Liverpool, heading over into Beaver County, PA. But in our central and northern viewing areas, generally speaking, this fell near to a little bit shy of the average. Canfield, a little over 2 inches, 2.38 in Hermitage. Not super dry, but also a little bit on the dry side in parts of our area during October. All right, November's outlook kind of looks similar. We're expecting a pretty active month with the northern branch of the jet stream in the Pacific Northwest, with below average precipitation favored in a lot of the eastern U.S. Actually this map kind of looks like La Nina. La Nina maybe, kind of influencing the pattern already as we head into the final month of meteorological fall here in the northern hemisphere and get set for meteorological winter. This is the temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center issued today. Their final outlook shows a warmer than average month favored in most areas east of the Rockies. Now, I think in our region, this will be heavily influenced by the first week of the month. Beyond the first week of the month, I think there will be more back and forth, including maybe some decent cold snaps before the month is through. But the first week of the month looks pretty warm, and that may tilt the whole month in favor of a warmer than average outcome, even though the whole month is not likely to be on the balmy side across our region. All right, we've gotten pretty lucky with trick-or-treaters so far in that the weather has cooperated for the most part, a sprinkle or shower here and there. As I record this, a little more of a significant or organized cluster of showers approaching from the south and west at about 7:10 may dampen parts of the valley before the evening is through. All of this is underneath an area of low pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You can clearly see it spinning out here. This will sluggishly keep moving east and will still impact our weather as we go into the day tomorrow. Still a pretty cloudy forecast for November 1st. Much like today, though, these clouds tomorrow will be fairly unproductive. Shower, sprinkle in spots, most of the time just kind of blah. Not very cold, despite the clouds. Temperatures will still be above average. Then the high builds in and shuts down the cloud machine for the most part by the end of the day tomorrow. But underneath this dome of high pressure, pretty good temperature inversion may set up first thing Wednesday morning. Could be a good recipe for some fog. After the sky clears some, you still have some moisture near the ground, temperature inversion setting up aloft. Maybe a good recipe for a foggy start to our Wednesday. The afternoon, though, should be nice. Speaking of nice, great weather in store for the end of this week. Check out these temperatures. Now, no records are in our current forecast. The one day that we might really challenge one is Sunday. The record high Sunday is lower hanging fruit at 74. We're going to give that a run for its money, I think, Sunday afternoon. The other daily records are out of reach, it looks like, at this point. But wow, what a first weekend of November. 73, both Saturday and Sunday. And some medium to long-range trends here. I think this generally pretty abnormally mild pattern will hang on through about Election Day, which is 8 days from today, of course. Right around that time, I'm expecting some cooler weather to start settling in. And the rest of the month may feature some back and forth where we might have some pretty chilly days, balanced out by occasional milder days. It is very unlikely to be as consistently balmy as the first week of the month. That being said, I don't see anything in the modeling right now to suggest any sort of really nasty December, January-like cold like we can sometimes see in November. Don't see that on any of the modeling right now, but the medium to long-range modeling has been in a little bit of flux lately. Some of the more recent runs over the last day or two, really going through the weekend, have started to trend a little bit colder for mid-month, whereas previously it kind of looks like the warmer weather might try to hang on through the middle of the month. I think it is going to be interrupted by a fairly decent cool shot just after Election Day. All right, as we head into the month of November, we'll continue talking about the upcoming winter forecast, which will be released on Thursday evening, November the 17th, on 21 News at 5, 6, and 11. Long version, just like Weather for Weather Geeks. We posted online that same evening after the 6 p.m. newscast, and on the TV version, which will be short and sweet, we'll kind of get to the point. On the longer version, we'll talk about some of the meteorology and some of the why behind what the forecast is. Chances are, if you're watching this video and you're still watching after about 5 minutes, you're pretty weather savvy. You might be a weather nerd of some kind, a weather geek, if you will. And so chances are better than the general populace that, yes, there is some skill in these seasonal forecasts. As much skill as a 7-day forecast you see me do on TV every night? No, not even close, really. But we do have some skill in picking out trends for the winter. We can't tell you if it's going to snow on February 8th. We can't tell you if there's going to be an ice storm on January 12th. We can't do that. But what we can do is talk about trends compared to average, temperature and precipitation-wise. Maybe getting a little harder, though, because the climate change factor definitely plays a role in these longer range forecasts. The oceans, in particular, are much, much warmer than they used to be. Even in a La Nina, which is characterized by a big stripe of cooler than average water temperatures in the equatorial Pacific, the globe as a whole, all of the oceans, the Arctic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic, the Indian, all of them are warmer than they used to be, and that makes finding analogs, past years similar to this one, a little bit tough, because in general, the oceans in our recorded history have never been this warm. So, that being said, how did we do last year with our winter forecast? It was one of our better ones last year. I gave our forecast an A for the wetter than average call, and below average snow. So even though it was wetter than average last winter, snowfall totals were generally a little below average. Temperature-wise, B+. The general trend was okay. We just mistimed the coldest weather last winter. In our initial winter forecast last year, we did call for a colder than average December. It ended up being a few weeks too early. The cold settled in mid to late January. It got really cold for about 10 days, from about the 20th through the 30th last January. So we had a little bit of a misfire there on the timing of the cold weather. I will tell you, without giving too much away, I am strongly leaning towards this December being quite a bit colder than last December. Will it be a lot colder than average? Not sure yet. But I am increasingly confident that this December will have a much different flavor than December of 2021, which was the 4th warmest on record for our area. More discussion on that winter forecast coming up in future editions of this video. Meantime, thanks for watching tonight, and I will see you back here on Tuesday.